I'm actually going to put in the PowerPoint presentation in about 5 minutes. Ricky is going to need some help from one of our staff members. He's going to go get some food, and we're going to feed the people. We got moose and rabbit stew. I think that's what Sherry cooked for us. And of course, roast beef sandwiches. So stick around. Thank you very much again, Charlotte, for all the good work that you've done. I know that we also have Indian Child Family Services out there. What they're doing is they're catering their program to Montreal Lake community members. And what they want to do is make sure that as many people in Montreal Lake fill in the survey. So before you go, or you got to go for a little bit of a washroom break, but talk to Jai. Jai, wave at everybody. So Jai is primarily responsible. So I want to hook up the projector right now, because she's going to lend this to me, but I said, this looks too expensive, I have one. And so we're going to use another one here, and then I'm going to talk about the Indian boarding home program. And so the food is coming, so if you don't go too far, it should still be nice and warm. Jerry just cooked it up here in the last 30 minutes. So just look at the money. And we also have a door prize out there. One of the door prizes, I want to say, ask Jai. Jai, do you have any door prizes today? Okay, so make sure that you fill out a door prize out there. So I'm going to hook up the presentation here. We should start in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So, make sure that you're sticking around for the next presentation is going to be in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
The food is just getting ready, bringing the food out right away. But before we do the food, we always have a blessing of the food. So we've asked Jennifer if she would do the blessing to the food for us.
You might have to ask folks.
Pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
And if we can have a couple staff members, if you want to volunteer to help serve the food, but the food should be ready in a couple minutes here. My colleague, Ms. Gina Dockstader, give everybody an Oneida wave and a Anishinaabe wave. And she's here for the week. And so we've been in La Couronne's Indian Band communities all week, and then we're going to be in Prince Albert on October 3rd, 28th and 29th. If you know anybody living in PA, invite them to go to the PAGC Culture Center at 5:30 to 7 o'clock. 5:30 to 7, because a lot of our relatives live in PA, and what that is that's on Monday night. So the Indian boarding home class action, okay, that means that the federal government was caught doing something that, was not good for Indian people. Very similar to the residential school, very similar to the day schools, very similar to the 60 school. So, again, I just want to make mention, this impacts people in a very serious way, but we're just going to do a brief introduction, but at the same time, I want to acknowledge the leadership that are here. So, Troy, you got a shirt, okay? Dean, our portfolio counselor, thank you for being here. Did I miss anybody else? I think that's two of our leadership that are here. Thank you very much. And I want to say thank you again. I know our counselor Dean was helping support the land-based culture days. Larissa, thank you very much. Cindy, thank you very much. Of course, Bert was also helping out. So, Indian boarding home. Indian boarding home. What happened was, so what this program is from 1951 to 1992. So this is a bit of that background. In the 1950s, Canadian Indians or boarding home program was placed First Nations and Inuit kids in private homes. A lot of people don't know this. We went to southern Alberta, and one of the biggest bands in all of Canada. One person showed up because a lot of people, they don't think that they were impacted. And so we have to tell people, a lot of people in day schools, they lost compensation because they didn't think they should apply. And so we have until February 22, 2027 to make sure that everybody that's eligible should be applying. And so, of course, the settlement details, the class action addressed harms caused by the program, including abuse. Okay? It didn't have to take place in the home. You, on your way to school, okay, after school programming, it didn't have to take place in the home because a lot of our relatives took us in during the Indian boarding home. It just has to be a private home. So, loss of culture. And then, of course, prolonged absences from family. So, the fact that you were taken away, meanwhile, people might have passed away while you were taken away. That's what we call harms. And then, of course, eligibility is 1951, September 1st, 1951 to June 30, 1992. And if you were a student, or if you know a student, a former student that went to school in PA and stayed with strangers, or went to school in Carleton, or went to school in St. Mary's and lived in a house with other students, that's what we call a boarding home program. That's what took place. Just for being there, even if it's 1 week, if they find your records, it's $10,000. Okay? It's very important. $10,000 for a common experience. And the unfortunate thing is they did have to have a cutoff. And the person, you can apply on behalf of a person if they passed away. And that had to be, they had to have been alive on July 24, 2016 or after. So that's a very important date. So there's a couple of very important dates. First of all, if you went to school from 1951 to 1992, even if it was after 92, some of the bands were still having the federal government do everything. You can still have some of your, you could still be eligible. You could still be eligible. So, ito. So in Stoic, there's 3 types of people that can apply. 3 types of people. If you were a student that went can't speak for themselves, so a person under disability, you can apply for somebody on behalf of somebody else, or an estate representative, somebody that passed away. They might have left a will. One of the family members to be able to speak on their behalf, or maybe a spouse, or maybe one of the kids. If they didn't leave a will, you can still apply on their behalf. It's called estate with the highest priority, heir. Highest priority heir. That means that sometimes it's the oldest sibling that can apply on their behalf. So there's 3 types of Indian boarding home class action claimants. So category 1, you go with $10,000 to the This is a placement for inside the Indian boarding home. To be eligible for category 1, you must have been in school or placed in the home from 1951 to 1992. And you are eligible to receive $10,000 just for common experience. If you already received residential school, day school, or 60 school, that's different. This is something different. You can still apply for this if you're eligible. Okay. The other thing you should note about category 1 is category 1, unfortunately, if you want to use a lawyer, you don't have to use a lawyer. Those forms, I filled out 5 of them already for other people. They're pretty straightforward. All they ask is for your name, your government ID, and also your address. And then, of course, where you went to school, what year, and some of the other students. And also, some of us have different names. Like if your name was William, maybe you were called Will at school. Maybe you were called Bill or Billy. All your other names you can fill out right beside, but your government ID name today. And then of course, if you got married, you had to change your name, you put that there. Also your nicknames, anything you would have been called at school, you can also put that there. You don't have to use a lawyer, but if you do, you have to pay for that lawyer. But lawyers already know about this, so what they're doing is, I'm going to fill out category 1 for you. Because I already filled out 5, it's pretty straightforward. And then they will get paid category 2. You can send this away, and if you remember, I forgot to add, I remember now the year. You can add to it. But what happens with category 2, this is where I'm telling people, be careful when you send this out. First of all, compensation is provided for harms. This is where $10,000 to $200,000. So provided for harm suffered while being placed in an Indian boarding home. So yung daw mga mistibama at sigatno, kagigit. So our claims administrator was with us this week, and he would say, if you went to school hungry twice, 2 times you went to school hungry, when the boarding home didn't feed you and they were supposed to feed you, that's worth $50,000. So, kada sige si, kamas naman, tan siga kita gaya naman kaging si Pigitibegaw. Do not be afraid of what you can write down in terms of what you deem a harm. So, again, the compensation amount ranges from $10,000 to $200,000, depending on the specific type of levels of harm. Filing a category 2 is optional. You don't have to apply for category 2, but I do know a lot of people, they will be applying for this. There's a couple elders, they were so mad. We did this in Stanley Mission. They said, do you have to make sure that you get approved for category 1? Because I applied for category 1 for residential schools, and then all of a sudden I got the $10,000, and then I should have applied for category 2. You can send this out. You can send this out at the same time, but the claims administrator, they won't go through this until 3 months from now because they're getting so those category ones, which is their priority. The other thing is you can hire a lawyer. You can hire a lawyer, but none of what's coming to you is going to come out of your compensation. So if you're going to get $50,000, you're going to get $50,000. If you're going to get $75,000, you are going to get $75,000. The lawyer fee is basically going to be paid on behalf of the claims administrator. So it's each the Mama. This is 5%. So a lawyer coming to you doing everything Mama sees, maybe you should say, hold on here. I have a story to tell. I have lots of details. I want to add to as much as possible because you only get it once. Category 2, once you send it away, you can't add anything to it. This is very important. So this is where I tell people, take your time. Make sure you know the story that you're going to write is going to match everything from category 1. So a lawyer, this is where if you trust the lawyer, this is where I'm saying this is the time you need to use a lawyer. So filing a category 2 claim is optional and does not affect your eligibility for category 1 compensation. So just because you got 10,000 category 1, you can still get 10,000 or more in category 2. I was talking to somebody in Little Red last night, and that's what they said. I'm afraid if I sign category 1, that's all I'm going to get. That's not the case. So what people are doing is they're signing off on category 1. It's pretty straightforward. And then they're going to send over a category 2 after. We didn't bring any category 2 forms right now, but you can download them from the website. And we can also help you fill it out today. If you don't have, do we have a residential school community support worker? Do we have one? A community support worker that helps people file for residential school claims in the community? Okay. I think I was asking somebody at the health center, and they said they used to have one. So, but at the same time, we can help you file those claims. So Gina will help you, and I can help you today. And of course, I'm always coming to the school. You just ask Agnes, what sign you're coming, and I can also help you do that, during lunchtime or when we have a break. Day school is actually all finished now. That's different. Yeah. So what happens is residential school and day school, that's okay. That's over and done with. But this is a class action. One of our people from BC was denied residential school compensation and application. She said, no, I went to school. And they said, you didn't live in a residential school, you lived in a house. And then her and her lawyer in 2013 started digging and digging and digging. They found out that the federal government was paying for kids to be sent away to go to school. So when I was growing up, a lot of our older students would go to PA, and they would be in there from grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. And a lot of them suffered a lot of loss of culture. They stopped speaking the language. And of course, some of them were abused. And so that's why it's different, because that lady and the lawyer, they pushed on this very, very hard. And all of a sudden they discovered that over 40,000 people across Canada or more were going through the same thing. So once again, if you're going to file for category 2, I was talking to a friend of mine from Sweetgrass today, and he wanted to know more information about this. And so that's where you need to explain exactly what happened. You could have lived with a relative, and the abuse or the harms might have been caused by another student outside the house. You would have never suffered any abuse or any harms if you weren't part of that program. That's where the federal government, the judge in this case said, the federal government, you're responsible for funding this program, sending Indian kids and Inuit kids out to these boarding homes. So again, in my band, there's actually some of our counselors and one of our former chiefs was non-status when they were participating here. And then of course, throughout the process, they got status. All they need to know is, did the federal government pay for the rent, or did the federal government pay for transportation? If they were responsible, and if you went to school, anything under post-secondary, so K to 12, you are likely to be eligible. So one more time, once a Category 2 claim is submitted, you can't add any information, so be careful with Category 2. You may want the assistance of a lawyer in the filing of your Category 2 claim. The lawyer fee will be paid by the claims administrator. So modagi ko ikat pega is paid or the sweet no. Pays ko na maagi mo timas na igits. How do you start this process? Yeah, do you have a question?
Is there an age limit, eligibility? Yeah. Like, I was 19 years old in my last boarding home, VA. I went to 3 boarding homes in 3 years. I was 19 and I was 19 back.
I was talking to somebody in grandmother's bay, same thing. She was 19, but grandmother's bay, they went to Laurent. And I told her, I said, you should apply, you should be applying. Yeah, and again, there's going to be like, on the document, I think it's page 13, there's like 7 spots, you know, because a lot of our kids, they went to residential school, they also went to boarding home. They were in a boarding home with other kids. So that would be eligible. Like I said, back in South End, a lot of our kids passed 1992. They continued to go to school. But I don't know when the band started taking over. But according to this, you know, anybody from 1951 to 1992 that went to school, they should still be eligible to still. So how do you apply? So this is how it works. So you fill out the Category 1 form, and then they tell you in 4 to 8 weeks they received your document, and they're going to give you a number, BH, like BH and then number, like boarding home and then number. That's your reference number. In case you want to phone on the status of your claim, all you got to do is give them that reference number. And then the review process, the claims administrator will review your claim. They may reach out for additional information. And of course, this is Category 1. And then what we have here is you will receive results 6 to 8 months for Category 1. And 6 to 8 months from the time you submit it. And then of course, Category 2, the same thing. You do all the same thing. You're going to get a 4 to 8 week notice, and then it's going to go through a review, and then of course the review results. You may be getting something back in 6 to 8 months. Now the important thing is Category 2. One more time, Category 2. Once you send it out, you can't change it. Category 1, yes. So essentially, Category 1, you send it out, you don't have to wait until it's approved. And then because a lot of people, what they said was, well, I have to wait until I get a yes. You don't have to. But what I'm saying is, once you send this out, Category 2, just know you can't change it. So claimants applying for a class member that has passed away but did not leave a will be processed at the claims period, after the claims period of February 22. Because they want to get to the people that are alive right away, as soon as possible. That's the priority. So we were in Little Red, and the 2 ladies were applying on behalf of somebody that passed away. And one of them did have a will. I think maybe both of them, but we also had to tell them that they had to have been alive July 24, 2016 or later. And for those folks, they did say yes. So who can I contact for help? So this is for a lot of people, this is going to be like reopening things you don't want to talk about. So this is the phone number. This is where you can talk to somebody for counseling services. And it's also in your document, the frequently asked questions. Or you can check out the hopeforwellness.ca. You can get some information. Or you can also get your claims form from the website. It's Indian Boarding Homes. If you Google Indian Boarding Home, the website will pop up. I've looked at it for about 20 or 30 times. Every single time I put Indian Boarding Home class action, it always popped up. And if you want to subscribe for updates, sometimes we have these webinars you can join virtually. Because a lot of people, they're not able to connect in person like this. They're not able to go to Prince Albert or on Monday from 5:30 to 7 at the Parkland Hall, or they can't make it to the Saskatchewan Indian Métis Friendship Center. That's going to be happening on October 30 in Saskatchewan from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. Is there anybody that has any more questions? Anybody?
About if somebody went to school out of province.
A lot of, if it was out of province, now, thank you for asking that. If it was out of province, some people even came here to come to school and they boarded in the community here. I would never say no, do not apply, because I don't know. Because I was told that. When I went to school in South End, I went to day school, and the cutoff date was like 1 year before it was, a lot of us younger people. And my cousin said, I'm applying. And I said, okay, I should apply too. And then a bunch of my other classmates, they said, no, it's already passed. And some of us got those dollars because we were a year late. So what this is you may, depending on each situation, you may still be eligible even though it says 92. One of our applicants from Grandmother's Bay, he went to school 98, 99, and he's still applying because I'm never going to say no because we don't know exactly the details of some of our bands and some of our communities and when the federal government started to officially give it over to the band. Does that make sense? All right. Let's do a door prize. Door prize. Red ticket out. Does anybody have any questions regarding the Indian Boarding Home program? Okay. All right. Yep.
The thing I was reading about is attendance records. Do we contact the schools ourselves to get our report cards from Carleton?
Thank you very much for a great question. Do we have to contact the school ourselves for the time that we went to school? I'm going to say you don't have to. But at the same time, so what you're doing is you're filling it up. Right? And I know that some of the people are adding information on category 1, saying maybe they don't have any records. They have a letter from a former classmate, and they're adding that and sending it away from category 1. But keep a copy of everything, and then make sure that when you fill out category 2, it's the same. So what the claims administrator has been telling everybody is you don't need to. But again, if you want to make sure that this, I went to school. I know I went to school. This is boarding home, and I'm contacting the school. They might say yes. They might say no. And if they say yes, then that just adds to it right away. And then that gives those people that are doing the research a little bit more of a, it gives them less time to research. Great question. Councillor Henderson, do you want to provide a couple thoughts on today's events in terms of maybe our land-based events? Anything goes?
Thank you, Simon. I just want to thank, our team that made this last 3 days possible. We have Larissa Meady over there that coordinated our Cultural Days events for the last 3 days, followed by today's workshops. But I'd really like to give Larissa and Bert a big round of applause for the work that they did these last 3 days. If we can give them a round. And to all the other staff that helped, thank you very much. I think everybody got a good feeding of duck meat, duck soup. We had walleye, we had whitefish, we had a trout chowder. It was something different for me, but it was awesome. We have an elder that looks after our camp that's at the north end of the lake, the Harold Johnson camp. His name is Charles Moberly. And he used to guide up in Sportsman's Lodge up north. And he made an awesome trout chowder soup. It was great. And we had a moose stew, and then we had moose meat, and there was all kinds of traditional foods that we ate over the last 3 days, and it was great. It was good to see all the kids that come out there. And I had to laugh at one kid there. He said, "I only got one piece of that chicken." And I looked back, we're not serving chicken here. It's a big piece of fish. He thought it was chicken. So, some of our kids don't even know what they're eating, but they like what they're eating, right? So you gotta explain to them, that's a walleye, or that's there's lots of foods that our kids have never tried, and they're out there trying it. So it was just great to see that. And it's all about learning to them, teaching our kids that. So it was great to see. It was just a good event, and it was just know what to do for next year, make it better, bigger. And to all the elders that we had elders from Montreal Lake, we had elders from Little Red, we had elders from Weaquin, we had elders from PA, from Timber Bay, and from Molinosa. So thank you to all of those that helped in whatever way it was. And of course, I want to thank Simon for making it possible for us to do by giving us the okay financially. We can't do things without the financial support too. So as long as we have money in our budget, and that's what Simon does for us. And of course, the class action suit that's being made available. I know a lot of people from our community attended the Timber Bay Children's Home, and we're not sure yet if that's going to be part of the class action suit. Maybe it will, but I know a lot of our people did go to Timber Bay. And with that, there is a survey over there, Jai, for ICFS. So whoever's here, fill out that survey. And they have some door prizes as well. So with that, I better run. I hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Thank you.
I caught him. He almost called me Samson. I won't tell you the name that I got from Grandmother's Bay, but it's a good one. Hey, go out. Take out your ticket one more time. Folks, also want to acknowledge, of course, Mr. Nolan Henderson. If you want to give everybody a wave there. DDA for everything that you do. He was, when we were doing this in Sector River, he's also helping out as, of course, one of our senators. One of our senators for Prince Albert Grand Council, and of course they were doing a consultation, a community engagement on the policing. Next number we have is 987. 987. 97, right on. I'm gonna throw this banana bread to you, see if you can catch it. It'll probably knock you out. It's really heavy. All right. Do you want a pie or bread? Okay. You want the pie? All right. How do you say pie? Can you do it? Copy that, scope. See, we back, you got copy that. They don't say. Come on, yeah. Coaster. Why are you lucky? Just look. Matil, I want to have some of your luck. Right on. How do you say frying pan? I like that. Good. All right, this is Mr.